The thing that got me into cycling at the very beginning was my sister. She used to ride around on her BMX Rally Burner, which was an amazing bike to look at, and to see the joy that she used to get out of cycling and doing her thing was something that I really wanted to get into and have as well. So she was my big inspiration for it. One of the big things that I love about cycling is the freedom and the joy that I get out of it, and the fact that the journey that it takes me on, no matter where I'm going to, always teaches me something new. There's always a new discovery about myself or the area that I'm riding around into, and that's a wonderful feeling, to learn something new every single time I get on the saddle. I was officially diagnosed with depression when I was 28 years old, when I finally found it in myself to go and speak to my GP about how I was feeling. I'd actually known for a very long time that I was living with depression. I never say suffering, I always say that I live with it. And that's partly because I grew up with my mother who lives with depression as well. It was just this constant feeling of being low and not being able to pull myself out of it. Instances where there were days that I couldn't even get myself out of bed. The thought of getting out of bed and just having a normal working day or a normal functioning day would reduce me to tears, like I didn't have it in me to do that. The biggest wake-up call that I ever had in regards to stuff not being quite right and something was very wrong was when I had a mini stroke at 33 years old. And it was the wake-up call for me to change my entire lifestyle and kind of think about my own mindset as well. So I'm someone who very much likes order, organisation, knowing how things are going to be, but I wasn't managing my own mind properly. I wasn't doing my own sort of life admin in regards to slowing down and not being stressed. And I would never say that I'm stressed out either. It was just stuff that needed to be done. Being a full-time carer for my mother is something in the nicest way that needs to be done. Going to work every day when I was working full-time needed to be done. So everything was just on my plate, and at no point did I really look at it and think, I might be taking on a bit too much here, or this is actually getting quite heavy for me. Not listening to a tiny voice in my head that was actually saying to me, slow down. Let's just think about this for a moment, what we're doing. I've learned the hard way from my mistakes when it comes to listening to yourself and listening to your gut when it feels like something isn't quite right. My way of dealing with things initially always used to be just to power through it, because I've got shit to do, really. It's like I don't have time for this. Not making time for yourself can have bad consequences. And it's almost like a luxury to be able to make time for yourself too. It shouldn't feel like a luxury to need to stop and actually reevaluate what's going on inside of your head and around you, and recognizing that something may not be quite right. It was another reason why I started up the blog Velo City Girl. Other than being an eternal diary keeper, it was actually putting myself in a space where I felt like I hadn't seen myself ever. So having that kind of visibility of putting myself out there as a woman and a black woman in cycling was important, because I remember how isolated and lonely I felt when I didn't see anybody else like that reflected back. And hoping that anybody else out there looking at it felt encouraged by it too, and just thought, well, actually this could be a space for me, and widening participation within the activity too for other black women and women of colour. And when I've done really frank and honest blog posts or social media posts about my living with depression, and that's opened up conversations with other people contacting me, that keeps me going too. It can be heavy hearing from other people that are going through hard times, but the heaviness is lifted in knowing that they have found an avenue to talk about what they're going through as well. In regards to where the blog has helped with that too, that led to me writing a whole book on cycling, on mental health, on trying to fit into spaces that feel like they're not for you. So the blog turned into a book, which in turn feels like the biggest blog post that I've ever done in my life, and one of the hardest ones that I've ever written too. That gives me a feeling of like fulfillment and completion inside of my soul, that something amazing has come from writing all of the good things and the crap things that have happened. If it's sparked off something in somebody else out there too, and thinking if my pictures and words are actually helping other people out there too, then I never want to stop this journey. I never want to stop.